Chapter 5. Welcome back, everybody. So this is the continuation of Benevolent Hybrid Reptilian Humanoid Being, Treb's planet. Hello, Jefferson. Hello, Treb. Good afternoon. How are you doing this day? Is this Treb Bor yit-NE? Yes, this is Treb. I'm doing very well. How are you doing this morning? I'm doing very well. Yes, I have brought some of the ones who work on this planet for you, and I have them gathered here with me. We do not have the number of 6 that you wished, but I do have the number of 5. 2 of them I invited from the other side of the planet, the other parts in the quarter as we break it up in parts. So I wish to have them come from a great distance, and the other ones I chose from the local area. Ones who are here in the gathering area today. So this is why I have 5 instead of 6. I wanted to bring the 2 from across because of their specific jobs and possibly in having an interest to you. This is why I set this up for this today. Any specific way that you wish to do this? Yes, first of all, I want to ask you, are you excited about this little project of getting to know the occupations you may have in your planet by their respective exiters directly? Yes, I'm very excited. This is the first chance to share our daily life, the actual parts of our planet, and in the ways of our planet with you. Cool. It is very exciting to share all of this information, and not only for information's sake, but for a general understanding of our people in a greater way. Jefferson, lovely. So you are all like, for instance, in your house, physically present? Treb, no. We are now at the gathering area, which is what you would say in your town. We are in this gathering area. Not all of the ones who I have here to speak with you will be able to connect on with the host. So this is the way that I wish to do this, is through speaking from me to them. So there is no interruption or misunderstanding. Sure. Some of these have never left the planet or have not communicated with ones who are from your planet or any other. So it'll be easier for me to do this in this way. Oh, lovely. So what I'm going to do then, I'll have the questions that I wrote down asked to you first, so as they hear your answering, they can have an idea of what will come later their way. Yes. Jefferson. Okay, so the first questions to measure and focus on one individual in particular would be this one. I will ask you your name, your gender, your age, your hair, and eye color, height, weight, whether you are single or married, and if you have children. For instance, my name is Jefferson. I am of a male orientation. I'm 31 years old. My hair is brown. My eyes are brown. My height is 1.83 meters. I think this is 6.1 feet. My weight is 76 kilos. I am single and I have no children. So that would be my first question from there. We know exactly who we are talking to with a little bit of what you look like. Imagery is in that sense. So let's start by that. So to make sure if there is any detail about yourself that we didn't get, we can also have the opportunity now to get it. So your name we know very well. We know that you are of a male orientation. Would you confirm your age? Yes, Treb said. The age of myself in your years is 369 years. Jefferson, what about your hair? We do not have hair. There is not a hair that grows through the skin. This is one of the humanoid traits that do not come through in our race. Now, instead of hair, is there anything else other than the tail that comes through your skin that is different in male and female or in every person? The one characteristic of us that is distinguishing from other members of our race are the patterns of the red dots that are on our skin. All of us have a different density of them, a different number of them within an area of our body. This is what I mean. Others have different patterns throughout the body. This is the greatest differences in distinguishing characteristics. So is there a way that you can describe the patterns on your skin, or would there be too much detail? It is possible, but for the time constraints, I am not sure if this will be of great help. All right, no problem. In which way would you like me to describe this? I don't know if the patterns in your skin are vertical or horizontal, for instance. Treb. Yes, on most of us, they are all what you would say symmetrical, and this is the same for me. I have probably in the area of 15 in 3 rows that go from the nose and under the eyes back to where your ears would be. It is not 15, it is 17 at the counting of it. Then there are ones that are stretching across the forehead of 2 rows of what you might say from the inner eyebrow of what yours would be. In a looping way, half a circle up into the top. It is more dense on me than certain members. It is more dense or less dense per se for all of them. It is very distinguishable. It is harder to explain in a way that would be understanding to you if you have not seen it. I am not sure of if of the way that I explain it is well enough for you to see in your head. Jefferson, sure, that would be great. Like it goes from this place to this place, and then from one place to another, we have so many dots. That replaces the hair idea. Yes. And your eye color? Treb, the eye color for all of us on the one side, the light side, is light purple, and on the black side is darker. Oh, I see. And what is your height? For me specifically, it is 7 feet and 6 inches, perhaps, very close to this. And weight, 370 pounds of yours, perhaps. You are married, right? Yes, I do have a mate. As a matter of fact, I do not want to ruin a surprise, but she is one that I have here to speak with you. Oh, fantastic, lovely. And you have children? Yes, 3 of them. Okay, well, any further questions about the marriage idea? I will ask her later then. Now, the question number 2 would be, what is your occupation and what remarkable event brought you to enjoy such a career? Treb, the career that is loosely translated in your English language would be spiritual advisor, and this has a great many details within the job. But the greatest idea of this is not to only teach my people, but the people we are in contact with, our ideas of what connects you to Earth and what spiritualism is. This has interested me since I was a child. It is not a very thought over. Well, it is hard to explain. It is not a very well received from most because it is a job that is not necessarily needed for our race alone, but to reach out to other races it is. But in the way of wanting to reach out to other races, there are many more jobs that are able to do this without having to keep the subject just on spirituality. So I suppose this is why most do not accept this as a job. There is not a very large number of us that do this. Jefferson, what do you remember that in the past that made you want to do that? Like, did you see your father talking to extraterrestrials? What made you want to do it? Oh, if I were to take myself in a way that would say one specific event more than others, it was the event with a race that I explained to you that often visits our planet. They are the ones that are descendants of the Nihal, the ones that we are hybrid from. A race that is the pure race of the Nihal descendants are the ones who visit. When they visited, there was one specific man who did this job. In just the stories that he would tell, in a way that he would explain this to us, it appeared greatly in my soul. I hear you. That's great. Now, what are the main responsibilities of your position and how it relates to other important departments in your planet? Like, can you name, for example, 3 main responsibilities? I understand that one is you're communicating with other planets and making your planet aware of other planets, correct? Treb, yes, that would be one of the 3. The other 2 would be to invite rationally helping the other ones and of other planets to grow with understanding. Not just in a telepathic sense, but in a vibrational sense to uplift them by example. The 3rd would be in communications with other races, I suppose. The best way to explain it is to communicate a sense of love and expression of caring, so that they'll understand that we do have our best interest in the whole idea of this. Many races that come from a 3rd density are still in the negative and positive mindset like we are. So sometimes they believe that there can be good done, but behind all good must come evil, because this is the truth within the 3rd density to an extent. It is what you might call as karma. So getting this idea through is a very, very important part of the job as well. Jefferson, and could you explain just a little bit more of the idea about helping the children grow vibrationally? Treb, it is not much of a complex idea besides the way that I explained. To better explain this, I will put it in this way. When you are physically around children, not only are they picking up on your movements and not only are they picking up on your conversational thoughts, but they pick up on the level of which you vibrate. We are all vibrational beings, as you understand, and the greater your vibration is, the higher level of consciousness you have available to you. So on my planet, it would be considered very highly vibrational in that sense. So just in the way of being around them, they pick up on this vibrational cue, which helps them pick up the interest, pick up the want to have this spiritual connection, if this makes sense. Yes, it does. Now, what is the most exciting part of the job you do and the least exciting? Treb, this is the most exciting to share ideas and get to understand other races in the way that they believe, the way that they think, and the way that they live. This is the greatest excitement for this job. The least favorite one, this is hard to say because there are no great parts of this that are not exciting in one way or another. But if it has to be from the least excitement, I would have to say in the conventional way of teaching within the school system. When you go to that system to teach the children, it is very structured compared to being free in a non-school type of environment or not in that learning environment. There are so many communications that are going on all around, and there's no time for the one-on-one. It is more of a group, and that is fine, but it is not as personal. It is not as connecting in this way. Jefferson, just to make sure I understood, you are speaking about the ways that the educational system in your world is set up, which is made by where a large number of people are gathered, and they get together in small groups, which doesn't allow you to have a one-on-one conversation, right? Yes, Treb, yes, it is similar to a school structure of yours, but it is a large building, and inside of this large building there are several groups, each with what you would say as a teacher. The children go to the teacher about the subjects or issues that they wish to learn on that day, if they want to learn at all, but honestly it has to be taught at one point or another. But you understand what I mean. If it not of their interest at this day, then they go to the next, and in the next time they are available. So when they do this, sometimes they are in a large group or a larger amount. So when you speak to them all as a great group. It is not as much as the one-on-one. There is always time for questions and communications in a personal way. But yes, the idea of not being able to sit down with each of them and do this can be frustrating in a sense. You are not giving all of yourself to that one person at one time, if you understand what I mean by this. True. Now, what is your preferred color? Preferred color for me? Yes, the shining of silver this is a great color. Flower from your planet? What is your preferred flower? It is hard to say. There's not many of what you would consider to be flowers there. It is more of a loose vegetation, but it is not the true vegetation in this way, so there is not a connection from that second density level as you do with your plants and grass. There's more of a built-in part of the consciousness of the collective, so they can pretty much think whatever, like manifest whatever they want, like instantaneously, it sounds like. So as far as connecting to it, it is not the same as connecting to the life forms as you would be able to go and communicate with trees on your planet. It is not built in this way. Jefferson, so what is the part of nature where you connect the most? It would be the water. This is a great joy. It is part of our primitive self, I suppose, as you would say. And to always want to go next to the water, more dense water, it is very calming. What is your preferred pet? We do not have pets in a sense that you do. There are only a few animals that are on the land, and they are not in a friendly nature. There are ones that are close to insects that we welcome within the house and out as they wish. So what is the insect that you like the most? It does not have a name, but I will describe this for you if you wish. Yes. It would have 8 of the legs, and not as the spider or the arachnoid that you have on your planet, but it has 8 straight legs, and it walks on all of them as if your dogs would have straight legs, kind of like this. It is about 8 or 9 of the inches of your long and about 5 inches off of the ground. It has almost a fuzzy skin, if you will, and one that is similar to an animal that you call a caterpillar. Okay, similar to this, yes, and with the texture of the skin, the colors that are on them are red and purple, but they have different patterns to distinguish them. Oh, I see, and do they fly? No, they are only on ground and climbing our trees. And what is your preferred sport? I like to have the competition in as much of your martial arts in a fighting way, but it is not meant to hurt. It is meant as a style of competition, yes. This is my favorite exercise that is not considered to be beneficial only to the body, but to the mind as well. From your childhood, what was your preferred game? There was one that was done in water where we would dive to the bottom and we would look for various objects or try to find each other in the depths. This was always a great joy of mine. Is there a type of woman, and I know your wife is there, but is there a type of woman that you prefer over others? Yes, similar to the one that I married. She is very smart, very strong, very proud of what she does, very committed. She is also interested in similar work to mine. It is not the same, but it is very similar. Okay, Jefferson, but as far as looks go, do they look all the same? It is not all the same. It is different heights and different weights and body mass, but this is not the general issue of all of us. This is not one that we look at. It is one of the soul connection and not one of the body. What is your preferred weather? The weather in general is generally the same, and it is mostly calm and collective. All of the weather is fine by me because this is just part of the cycle of the planet, so there is not really a preference for myself. Jefferson, what is your preferred place to be? You can choose it to be of your planet or off your planet. Treb, I do enjoy them both, but when I am off the planet, it gives me a sense of adventure, as you would say, a sense of going out and about, and this is a very high level of joy for me. Jefferson, what place do you like to visit? Yes, there's a star system that is close to us, and this is a very small star, and it has a planet that is within our density, but it is not inhabited. So sometimes it is of a joy to go there and to look around. It is much, much warmer than our planet, which is very comfortable, and is very attractive to the eye. Jefferson, now what was the last present you received? Treb, this is a hard one to say as well, because every moment of the day is a present, if you are speaking of the physical gift. Jefferson, yes, in a sense that we receive little tokens to remember people or dates. Treb, it would be that from my son, and it is the one that who I spoke to you of, who does the traveling with looking into doing this. Yes. Treb, he was given a gift of metallic of what you would say is jewelry from another race off planet that they had met on a long time ago, not a long time ago, but about in your time a year or what we have here. Is that for you to put on your neck? No, it is to put around the head. You might see it as a band head. My last question is the meaning of happiness for you. Treb, it is to be comfortable within yourself. It is to be living in the highest vibration. Jefferson, oh, great. Okay, so these are the questions basically. That's it. Yes, did you enjoy that? It was great. Fantastic. Let's go on to the next guest. Perhaps you would like to speak to my wife next? Fantastic. As I said before, instead of us using the techniques or teaching in a specific way to connect to the host, I will ask any questions and answer them. Great. But for the purpose of the book, instead of saying that they are saying that, they are saying, try to answer as if I was speaking to them directly. I don't know what that means. If you wish that I can set up a system within myself that allows the consciousness instead of being above her to directly connect, it will not be in a way that I have recreated this with the other spiritual advisors, but they are aware of the technique. But yes, I can do this in this way. Fantastic. Thank you. Yes, one moment and I will bring her to you. Hello, Jefferson. How are you? I'm doing well, and how are you doing? Great. What's your name? This is Treb's wife. In the way that the names have been structured, I would also be Treb Bor yit-NE, but the family name that I come from would be different. So we can say Son Bor yit-NE. That is the family name that I was given by my family from my father and mother. Jefferson, now we understand you are of a female orientation, yes? And what is your age? I'm 361 of your years. Can you explain quickly the patterning of the dots in your face? Yes, I have one band of the red dots that go from nose to ear and with 6 on each side. And I have 3 that go up and down rows where my chin would be from the bottom lip to the top of the neck. In each of these, there are 12, and on my head, I have 3 rows on the right side that have 15, and 16 of them go from the eyebrows to the back, and the same on the left side. Lovely. And your eye color, it is purple. Height, I would be in your height 6'8", 6'9" feet. And your weight, 228 pounds approximately. And you are married, of course, and you have 3 children, yes. Can you tell us particularly of your marriage, how it happened? We grew up in the same specific area in the planet, and through doing this, I met him as a child, and we grew up together. There was always a connected feeling, and our interests were always the same, so we have spent a lot of time together. Lovely. What is your occupation? And what is your occupation? What I do is I study the barriers or differences of cultures and the difference of the beginning of the non-spoken language. For instance, if the race is becoming more telepathic or beginning to not use languages as a spoken language, I interpret the thoughts that are between them for the communication purposes and differences of cultures or differences of complex ideas, if this makes sense. Yes, so basically the entire society is speaking in a particular language, and then they evolve to a telepathic communication, but not all of them, so you make the bridge? Yes, but in more specific ways, I make the bridge from the non-spoken language. I'm not one who interprets the spoken. When all races get to the non-spoken, or the race that does, then I use my ability to take one non-spoken language to the other and transfer the idea patterns and the thought patterns so that they are less complex and have a better understanding from both sides. Whoa, I didn't know that we still need translators when we are telepathic. Pardon me? When we use telepathy, we then still need translators from one language to another? When they are in what you might say the infancy stage of their telepathic communication, yes. Oh, I see. Now, what remarkable event brought you to enjoy such an occupation and such a career? When my husband, as you see this, decided to take on the role that he did, I always had an interest in this. And seeing him do the work that he did, I realized that there was the troubles that existed between those communications. So I decided to do this. Can you share with us how it was your first day at work? The first day of work, how was it? It was a day with a race that is in the 4th density that uses its telepathy. A race that had just transferred there, and they did not understand the full idea of this. The full telepathic concept. The symbolisms that they use were not used by the other race that I was transferring for because their systems were so different. So I used this. It was hard to try to get the angle at the first time. It was odd for me in the job that I had. It was one that was made from necessity or from something that I enjoyed. So there was no learning curve, period, for me. The only learning that I had would be to have experience with the spiritual advisors. So I would spend time with them to do this, and when doing this, it was difficult to understand the brand new race to this density because they were not able to communicate telepathically in ways that was understandable to the other race. So it was not frustrating, but it was hard to get the messages across at first. But after they started to understand the differences, I was no longer needed. Jefferson, whoa, so what are the main responsibilities? I know you have spoken already a little bit about them, but what are perhaps the 3 main responsibilities of your position? It is only the one. There is no other part to it but this. It is not needed for very long. As I said, once the races begin to understand the cultural differences. If they do not understand specifics in a race, it is only temporary, so it is not used in a day-to-day manner, and it is also not needed for anything more than this function. So one of the responsibilities, you could say that it is for you to make sure that you can assimilate and understand their way of communication, and then translate it into your way and make people from your own side understand as well. Because it is not our side that needs to be understood, our side is a way of both of the differences in both of the cultures before we would then use the translational type of communication. So basically it is, we have had exchanges with both in our ways and their ways, and this is what helps to do this communication. What is the most exciting part of your job, and what is the least exciting? The greatest part of this is the communication and meeting of several different races that are different in stages of the spiritual evolution. The least exciting part is when there is frustration within differences or lack of understanding between the races. This can be frustrating to the point that when the frustration begins, the vibrations drop, and this is an uncomfortable feeling for all. Can you tell us the last time it happened, if it happened already? Of which specific are you speaking of? The last time it happened when you went to your work and people started to get frustrated and the energy dropped. Oh, approximately 4.5 or maybe 5 of your years ago between this area. And what happened? It was more of a misunderstanding, the race that was new to the way of telepathic communication. Because they are of a non-sexual beings of nature, they did not understand that there was a different way to speak to a male or a female of the other. But then it was disrespectful to their culture to speak to them in that manner. Oh, all right. Then how did you solve the problem? You spoke with them and then everything got well, or did they leave? No, it was worked out. It usually is worked out. It was explained that because the senses are still used in the race, that there's a difference, and the differences were explained, and the communication was patched up, to say. So what's your preferred color? My favorite color? Yes, it is silver. And what flower do you like the most? The trees that we have are what we call trees. They are very similar to a tree that grows in the south of the ones with a coconut that grow. Palm trees. It is much like this, the trunk or the part that goes to that. Not the leaves, just the part where it is serrated and met at different levels. And on top is more of a hairy or fluffy texture. The closest texture that I can see would be one plant that you have where the pod is broken and they have the little fluffy seeds that fly around, milkweed. It is similar to this on the leaves, and this is my favorite, and we have many in the area that we live in. Now, what insect or little animals that you liked most? There is one small that swims in the water, what you would say a fish. It is very small, but it is very, very colorful in a blue, and then reddish blue, and then this is very beautiful. The way it swims is very unique. What does it look like? It is about 3 or 4 of your inches long. It is wide to an inch, and it has one eye on the front and 2 that are up on the top of each side of it, similar to the side of your fish and with a mouth open. It makes it look like it has lips that are very wide and big. Those are bright, bright blue, and it is very shiny. What sport do you like? Sports, swimming is great. What is the game that you remember that you enjoyed or still play that you like? There are several games that I enjoyed as a child. The one that sticks out to the mind is one game that maybe is called hide and seek. We would go within the big city and try to block off the thought process so that others could not pick up where area you were in, and you would hide from them. What type of man do you like? The ones who are spiritual in nature. This is very, very important to me. We have very many what you might say as strong-willed men are very prideful. This is not something that appeals to me. Someone who is more relaxed or not so prideful that it overcomes the niceness within them, if you understand this. Yes, well, the weather is always the same, so you don't have much to choose on that, but what kind of weather do you like? It is not a preference, perhaps. That is something among our people that is not very much thought of because it stays the same pretty much. It is very much different to us than the planet, but for some of it appeals to them. Hold on, let me back up. That is something among our people that is not very much thought of, unless it comes to the point that it is in between the light and the dark side that can be very violent in nature. So it is very much different to us on the planet, but for some it appeals to them. But it is not thought of much by our race. It is not something that is important because it never changes to a degree that makes it different from the rest. Do I make sense? Yes, you do, ma'am. What place do you like to visit the most? I enjoy to go into the nearest town that we have. It is very great there with meetings and great places for all of us to meet. This is the greatest joy that I have. Is there any place off planet in particular that you would like to share and enjoy visiting? There are several planets that I found that I enjoy, but if I have to pick one, it would mostly likely be the one that is maybe 25 or 26 light years away from us. It is one that surrounds a great blue star, and everything is very huge, and their cities are very large, with the races that lives there. The whole planet is almost as a great city. It is great, and there are so many types of beings and types of personalities that are there. And what can you do there? Like, do you just walk around? There are many things to do that you can find to do there. You mean things to do there specifically, you mean? Yes, I enjoy the company of others, as you might see a vacation where you take your family with you. This is the best way for this to do this. Oh, great. Okay, what was the last gift that you received, or the one that you liked the most? The gift that is greatest is not of a physical nature, but if you were to ask, like, say we have people you think that give people gifts. Yes, one thing that means very much to me is something that all the children have let them give gift to us. It is what you might say is a crystal. It is put on the table that is within the gathering room of our dwelling. It is shaped in a semicircle with the bottom where the crystals are pure in its form and sharp at the bottom, but it was made to look like a half of a planet sitting within the crystal. It is very beautiful. Whoa, now what is the meaning of happiness for you? To be in positivity, she says. If you were to teach a person how to be within positivity, how would you do this? To live every moment doing what you enjoy. If this is not possible, to help others around enjoy that moment just as much. Whoa, fantastic. So do you have any parting thoughts before we talk to our next guest? No, there is nothing to say besides it was nice to have communicated with you. You enjoyed this conversation? Pardon me? Is this the first time you have spoken to a human being? To a human? Yes. It was the first time I spoke to a yit girl as well, so thank you very much. You are welcome. Goodbye, goodbye. And that will be it for today. Thank you for coming by.